If you think Chapter 3 is the best chapter in Poppy Playtime, hit that like button right now. And if you think that Chapter 5 is the best, subscribe to my channel right now. Because today we're going to be ranking all the Poppy Playtime games, so watch the video until the end and subscribe to my channel for more Poppy Playtime content. I'm going to begin by talking about the very first game that launched the entire Poppy Playtime franchise and introduced us to such an iconic indie horror character. Even though they have grown into a massive studio today, looking back at how it all started, it was truly a wild experience. Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 serves as a truly brilliant and engaging 30-minute introduction to the series. Honestly, I would definitely place it right up there in the top tier of horror games. I wouldn't go so far as to call it the peak, but I do believe that at the time it really refreshed the Czech horror scene or even the global horror gaming scene in general, and that chase with Huggy was one of the most intense chase sequences we have ever had in this series to date, yeah? I have to say they haven't really managed to top that since, which is kind of a paradox, and it's honestly crazy because, yeah, the storytelling in that chapter wasn't really there, or it was just pretty basic. Of course, that's expanded quite a bit over the years, but the chase sequence and the initial premise of those first few puzzles with the grab pack, the first few tapes, it really gave us a good idea of what the developers had in mind. Can't call it tan, pika na it's too short, lacks mechanics, lore, and only has one villain, even if it's the series' best. And I can't call it mid either, as it's the shortest chapter, but it's free. Jump into Poppy Playtime, try it, then buy the DLCs. It's a smart business model. In my opinions, the top section is the ideal spot for our Hugo character. We'll stick with the top position and move right along. Now, I'd like to select a fun collaboration to mix things up. The first one I'll feature is Minecraft. I played that on my channel, so you can check it out in the card somewhere here. And for me, out of all the collaborations they've actually released, this is the best one. We've got this DLC for the Bedrock Edition where they added a bunch of mechanics, various grab packs, different mobs, and even things you can craft like various toys, recipes, hands, and bosses you can collect and defeat. So, for me, this was a top-tier collaboration. Yeah, considering how much content there is, I think it's a bit pricey, even though all those DLCs for Minecraft Bedrock Edition are pretty expensive, so I wouldn't quite call it peak. The value for money is just adequate for me, maybe a tiny bit overpriced for a DLC, but the quality is great, so I'm putting it in the top tier, and it's probably the collaboration I've honestly enjoyed the most out of all the ones they've had so far. So Minecraft and Poppy Playtime, I have always absolutely loved playing Minecraft, and I have created tons of videos about it, so this dream collaboration feels just perfect to me. I wonder if Mob Entertainment will do more Minecraft collaborations in the near future. They could add some custom maps or unique resource packs for us to enjoy. Yeah, I think the potential is definitely there. Adding some other enemies and so on who, instead of a creeper, will just come after you. I don't know, a doctor, yeah, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we have Chapter 2, and whenever a new Poppy Playtime chapter comes out, I don't know why, but most people probably go back to Chapter 3, which just has, hands down, the best and most horror-filled atmosphere, but I always go back to Chapter 2. Mommy Longlegs is an amazing character with superb voice acting. The prototype skill, incredible. Her multi-part boss fight is a fantastic chase sequence. There is the chapter's 3 locations and minigames mixed with puzzles and lore are great. The chapter is well paced, and considering it's on the shorter side, I think for the price, which I believe is about 8 euros, there's actually an extreme amount of content, and for me, this chapter is peak. I know not everyone is not a fan of Chapter 2 and all that, but I really remember when it came out, it gave us some major lore reveals, like about Elliot Ludwig, that his daughter died and he turned her into Poppy. That tape that was in his office is honestly still being used in theories to this day, so a pretty big lore drop. We rediscovered Poppy there. Then Poppy got it. Yeah, we started to doubt Poppy a bit there, wondering if she's actually good or not. This chapter raised a lot of lore questions and answers that we're actually still trying to figure out to this day, so for me it was a great chapter. Mommy Longlegs is done a great villain. The voice acting is spot on. Or she chases you through the minigames watching you play. Or she wants to play with you like spiders do with their food. A cool concept. For me, Chapter 2 is peak. It keeps the Playtime Factory's atmosphere. You're in the game station. It's colorful, yet super scary.
For me, Chapter 2 just turned out really well, and I still love going back to it to this day, which is saying something because since then, the stuff we have in those games has really come a long way, but Chapter 2 still just, I don't know, has this charm to it that I really love. I know most people find that charm in Chapter 3, but honestly, I find it in Chapter 2. I don't know why, but for me, Chapter 2 is peak. Let me know your opinion in the comments. I'd be curious to hear it. For the next collaboration, I'd go with the Fortnite one, the Escape Trials. We played that on my channel. It should be in the card somewhere here. And for me, this is probably the worst collaboration. Yeah, as far as the Huggy Wuggy skin itself in Fortnite goes, I think that's great. I'm purely evaluating the minigame they just added, and that minigame is completely pointless. You walk around really slowly. It's not scary at all. I don't think the jump scares even had sound effects. Yeah, the whole thing was kind of weirdly buggy, you know. It felt a bit rushed to me. I think there were only like 2 maps, and the only thing that minigame was good for was just farming the battle pass. Like, you had a ton of those coins and could just farm XP. So for me, this collaboration, I'm sorry, but it was trash. Yeah, it's probably the worst collaboration Mob Entertainment has ever had. A very rushed map. Yeah, the skin in Fortnite is great. They were probably trying to promote the skin by releasing a game there, but in my opinion, it didn't really work out. So I hope you guys don't fire me now, okay? And we won't have any Poppy Playtime creators left in the Czech Republic, man, okay? Next up, we have Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, and in my opinion, there's no debate here. Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 is trash. It's an absolutely terrible chapter with hideous graphics, a villain who has no voice lines and doesn't really tell you anything. The final boss fight is completely bugged, the screen keeps tilting, and honestly, for me, it's the worst chapter. So let's move on. Okay, so everyone probably just disliked this video and is commenting that I'm a total moron, right? No, of course, Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 is absolute peak. Amazing minigames with the grab pack, incredible lore, horror atmosphere, this was top tier. Poppy Playtime Chapter 3 is a 10 out of 10 chapter. I would also like to thank Tomasz Jagger for becoming our newest VIP member. Hey, greetings to you, boss, and I really hope you are scoring plenty of goals just like the great Jagger. Playground is truly a remarkably gorgeous location. It still retains that classic Poppy Playtime vibes, yet yet at the same time, it's absolutely and utterly horrifying. Oh, one of the best jump scares in the game. That catnap one totally got me. A wonderful flashback to the lab, so plenty of other lore reveals, amazing tapes. This was Poppy Playtime, really. I think that for the first trilogy they had planned out, this was just the peak. Yeah, after that they wanted to branch out a bit, come up with some other mechanics. Some were a bit of a hit, some a bit of a miss. We know what we're talking about, yeah, we know, we'll get to it in a bit, but Chapter 3 just worked the way it was supposed to. The only thing is, back then they weren't great at optimization, so it's actually still around 40 gigs, so for me it could use a bit of a rework, yeah. The first 3 chapters overall could use some graphical updates, although Chapter 3 doesn't really need a graphical one, it probably doesn't need it, but maybe more of a rework in terms of optimization. We get a lot of weird loading screens, right, where you can even see doors to the void and so on. So technically they didn't quite have it nailed down because they didn't have that much experience and they really bit off more than they could chew. If the original trilogy were to be fully remastered with modern high-definition graphics, completely updated menus, refined configuration settings, and thoroughly polished gameplay mechanics, it would be an absolutely incredible experience. Admittedly, it did have its fair share of technical bugs, but when you consider the core mechanics, the deep lore, and the immersive atmosphere, it is, without a doubt, the best chapter. It bothers me they scrapped the toy house which was meant to be there, maybe with Boxy Boo inside. They cut it to meet the release deadline. Since Chapter 3 was delayed and fans were disappointed, they likely trimmed content. We might have missed a Boxy Boo boss fight. Yeah, we don't really know, but there's speculation about it because there was that toy house thing. For the next collaboration, we have the one with Roblox, which I actually played, Poppy Playtime Forever. I really liked that you could make your own custom maps and that it was very community focused. But then I think they just kind of abandoned the whole project and honestly not many people play it anymore, so I'd give it a meh. The foundation was the game is pretty solid for Roblox. It had a real potential. Guys, custom maps were perfect for streams. You'd build, we'd play together. But it was abandoned. They stopped releasing updates, maps, and killers. The foundation was great, but they just didn't build on it. So unfortunately, that's a shame. And for that reason, I'm giving it a meh. Next up, we have Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. And this chapter is, like say, we know. Oh my god, this is exactly what I'm getting at. Once again, Mob Entertainment bit off more than they could chew. They wanted to finish a new chapter within a year, which in some aspects just didn't come out very polished. Graphically, the best chapter, yeah, out of the 4, yeah, if we don't count the 5th one, graphically the best chapter, the worst chapter in terms of optimization, the worst chapter for bugs. Honestly, Cloutony, a lot didn't work. We got nothing new for the grab packs. The devs clearly forgot it this chapter. We only hunted for the Omni Hand, but it adds no mechanics, and so it just opens random doors, then we lose it anyway. It's just crazy. I think the Doctor will probably help us get a new Omni Hand in Chapter 6. Yeah, so I love this chapter because I love Dogi, I love the lore, I love the characters, it's just awesome. The characters are really great, but everything feels so rushed. The grab pack puzzles just aren't well thought out, not really that interesting. Most of the puzzles were just simple codes, which I found myself criticizing while playing. Mendista was honestly bummed that the grab pack went unused. It was a real letdown. Nice story-wise, not the narrative progressed quite well, since Dog Day is easily the best. My personal picks are Huggy, Dog Day, and Mommy Longlegs. For me, they're the best characters. Like, Dowie almost beats Huggy after Chapter 5. Like, Huggy got way more lore, so I still prefer him. But Dogi is an amazing character. That mutation, how those souls take over, his split personality, it's just great. I'd rank him somewhere between mid and top tier. It has its flaws, but I still love the game. I just, I really absolutely love Poppy Playtime, yeah, so obviously I'm a little bit biased here, and I definitely put it at the top, but I'd put it at the very, very top, right at the very start, yeah. So let's just say it's somewhere between mid and top, just somewhere right in between. Yeah, the more I think about that chapter, the more bugs there are, unfortunately, and they're just really obvious. And it bothers me that some bugs are still there, that they still haven't patched some things they actually promised to patch. So that's a shame. And like I said, if they were to remake the whole trilogy, they could honestly debug the 4th one a little bit too, you know? Next up, we have a Dark Deception collab where you can play as the mobs. And I've never played it, but I saw it has mixed reviews on Steam, but I'm judging it purely on that and calling it not great. I don't know if it's good or bad. I barely played it, and you can't even buy it anymore, so it's not great. Makotor's based on what people say and those Steam reviews. Not for me, nah. The games are good, but mobs collabs are weak. They need to stretch pressure. You need to step it up. Next, Prosta Project Playtime. It's not getting updates. It's a project they abandoned. Yeah, Project Playtime, but Project Abandonedly. Yeah, they ditched it. I hope we'll finally get some updates now. The developers are always promising things, and I think that now, after the release of Chapter 5, which was a massive financial success, they've actually already sold almost 500,000 copies of Chapter 5, which is absolutely crazy, and it's already paid for the development of the next chapter. I think they could take some of that money, yeah, and pour it into Project Playtime, add new maps, add new mobs, add new mechanics, fix bugs, add a new battle pass, add new features, new things you can level up, and so on, so there's some kind of progression. The game has extreme potential. I love the game. We've played it together a few times on Steam even now. The game still works even if it's in a bit of a weird state, but the mechanics, the stuff in there are just great. I love Dead by Daylight. I have about 500 hours logged in Dead by Daylight, and this is basically Dead by Daylight in the Poppy Playtime setting. So for me, it's great. The fact that you can play as the killer and just fight the employees is a great idea in my opinion, and for me, the game just worked. When it came out, it just worked, but then since they wanted to keep focusing on their main projects, they just completely abandoned it, and I don't think there have been any updates for over 2 years. It's a real shame. Honestly, bringing this game back now after doing nothing with it for 2 years really sucks, because people aren't going to trust it as much anymore. But I have to rank Project Playtime at the top, and I'm even putting it above Chapter 1. Yeah, it actually has more content than Chapter 1. Yeah, you can basically play it forever. I'm putting this before Chapter 1. Maybe a bit of a controversial opinion, but for me, Boxy Boo is an absolutely great character, and the mechanics and the foundation are definitely there. So please, Mob Entertainment, don't give up on Project Playtime, start building on it. I think a live service multiplayer game that actually worked and received updates every 2 weeks or a month would be absolutely amazing, and if you didn't give up on it, I think it would bring in some pretty good money. Now, Chapter 5, the highlight of today's video. You know my take from my Let's Play. Check the card. I rank it above Chapter 3. I know many prefer Chapter 3, but overall, Chapter 5 offered so much more. The prototype reveal, the Hagilor Storskuna... Story-wise, it's the strongest chapter for me. The recordings are really well done, the separate cassettes, the story audio tapes, and even the VHS tapes separately. We're finally using the grab pack for minigames again. Best graphics, excellent optimization, totally bug-free, a chapter polished to perfection down to the last detail. The only thing I know is that people said the puzzles bothered them a bit, that they felt a bit too drawn out. I would classify Poppy Playtime as the puzzle-based horror experience that I really don't mind the puzzles. In fact, I genuinely enjoy the grab pack mechanics. I think the grab pack is a super creative mechanic. I haven't really seen anything like it in game design before. So for me, it's awesome, and Chapter 5 just hit all the right notes. The only thing that bummed me out was that it was a bit shorter than Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, and you could tell it was just a bridge between the 4th and 6th chapters. Yeah, like they stretched the story out a bit and made it a little bigger. Not much was cleared up, so I suppose we'll just have to wait for Chapter 6. Honestly, the experience was peak, but they really should have included another hour of gameplay. The ending felt quite rushed. After the prototype, we only had 10 minutes remaining. I'm definitely taking some points off for that. But I still think it's the strongest chapter we've gotten, and for me, the stuff in it just works. I know a lot of people have a different opinion on it. Yeah, I know Chapter 5 isn't that much of a horror chapter. It's more action-oriented, you know. It's more about action-packed chases rather than any real horror atmosphere or jump scares. That's true. I kind of expected it to be more of a horror game given the setting, you know? I mean, we got to the parts where they were literally turning kids into toys, so I didn't expect it to be quite so peaceful. In the end, it kind of was, but it felt more like an action game than a horror one, so I get the hate for this chapter. Anyway, I'm definitely on the side that absolutely completely loves this new chapter, so without further ado, here is my official Poppy Playtime tier list. Please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video.